And we're back with some more NBA observations. It's our NBA trade deadline preview. It's Gerald Glassford. So funny. My good friend Tuff, who actually is one of our great followers and watches all of our shows here, he actually found the theme song I used. Because I'm just looking for theme songs for my shows and whatnot. I forgot what it was, but he said I found it. So he's looped it on an hour, and now he uses it as his exercise music. So I thought that was really cool. But it is, of course, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for joining us right here. The Lakers Fast Break. I'm also on Lakers Late as part of the Fan Art Network. I'm on there 15 to 20 minutes a day with your latest Lakers news, plus also as well, of course, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. We just dropped last night on this channel, of course, our Super Bowl preview. So go ahead and check it out today so you can get the word on what's going on with the Super Bowl. And then also as well, of course, the Pop Culture Cosmos as well. JSJ says a whole lot of nothing. Well, depends how you look at it. If you are a Lakers fan like I am and like JSJ is, yeah, it's a little slow. But if you're an NBA fan and you just want action, well, you've gotten that for the past 48 hours because the NBA trade deadline so far has been a pretty good one, per se. I know that Joe Soro, and I actually kind of agree with him, that we were concerned with what was going on with the salary cap and how that might limit the activity on trades. But I guess there's been some things caused by the salary cap in the CBA that has caused a lot of trades. And here today to discuss some of that, good man indeed. Of course, hopefully we're looking for others because I put out the invite to others, but I've got my main man here on the NBA observations. It is, of course, the guy behind so much work that he does for the Suave Report. And of course, he's got an article right now you need to read right there on the OKC Thunder at the Suave Report. It is Caleb Ponce. Caleb, great to have you back, my friend. A live event for us right here as we preview the NBA trade deadline. Has this met your expectations so far with what's happened over the course of the past 48 hours?
It's surpassed all my expectations. I mean, it really felt like with the deadline coming up, like all the Anthony Davis stuff had, once he got hurt, like the deal that seemed like it was going to happen to Atlanta was dead and Toronto wasn't interested anymore. And it seemed like if anyone was going to get traded, it's Giannis, and now we're still waiting on that. And then obviously Jaren Jackson comes out of nowhere, and James Harden comes out of nowhere. And then on top of stuff like that, on top of those big ones, you have like smaller trades, like OKC gets Jared McCain, and Charlotte gets Kobe White, and Minnesota dumps salary mysteriously, seemingly to no end as of right now, but they still have some time left. So I think it's honestly been really exciting, especially with these apron expectations. I kind of just thought maybe we'd get 5 or 6 role player cheap salaries getting moved around, and that was about it. And that's not what has happened.
No, not in the slightest. And it's been interesting because it's there's been some observations that have been made in regards to, this is a general theme, and we'll get into the specifics here in a few minutes, but a general theme is heading into the off season, there was going to be 6, 7, 8 teams possibly with a load of cap space heading into that summer. Well, it's kind of different now. The landscape has changed because 2 or 3 of those teams have now actually gotten a lot of their salary already taken up by what they procured in trades. And those are teams like Washington, like Utah, those teams that had looked like they were going to be major players in the summer can still be major players with what they have in assets, but they are definitely not as spendful as they were, or they were going to be before this NBA trade deadline is concerned. And the other end of it is also for benefit for the Lakers fans out there. Again, with so many teams that are now maybe more inclined to go ahead and maybe not be as spendful in the summer, that could be a bigger advantage to Lakers fans if Rob does not do anything leading up to the trade deadline. But again, I'm trying to put some hope on there for Lakers fans. But there's also several teams now that through their trades have gotten under the tax as well. Please note that as far as it's concerned, because obviously the way the CBA is structured, one of the things that's very incentivizes you for getting under the tax. So I wanted to make note of that as well. And here's a guy who also has been observing what's gone on with the NBA observations and the trade deadline as well. It's my good friend Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Legend, meet Caleb Ponce, my co-host on the Monday NBA observations. Legend does post games with us and also as well NBA observations. Great to have you both here. Legend, you cover and you look at specifically the Golden State Warriors and the Atlanta Hawks. Some news coming out of the Atlanta Hawks, and we'll get into specifics here in a minute, but I asked Caleb his thoughts on the activity over the past 48 hours. Has it also met, underwhelmed, or exceeded your expectations on the level of activity so far?
Been a little underwhelming and probably a little confusion with what they're trying to do, especially when they were making a lot of cap space, clearing up a lot of space, and they made that trade with Portland, and then they pretty much waived him. Soon they got him. But I see that Atlanta the center to this. I did see that happen.
But what about the league overall? Are you excited about the activity that you've seen over the past 48 hours?
It's been kind of meh. Nothing too special, but kind of hard to beat what happened last year. So that's
that's a good point. That's true. I mean, the names that are going out are pretty good, and the activity level is pretty good. It's better than what I expected, to be quite honest with you, as far as the number of trades are concerned, especially this early, guys, Tuesday and Wednesday. I expected maybe a little bit of a flurry in the last 90 minutes leading up to it. And by the way, the last 90 minutes of trade deadline coverage will bring you tomorrow morning right here for you on the Lakers Fast Break. What's going on, Craig? Great to have you here. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break and NBA observations. So with the NBA trade deadline coming to a close tomorrow morning, we're going to bring you now a flurry of activity today, because I thought it was a pretty busy day for a Wednesday before. It's usually like one busy day and then a lull, and then it comes to that last minute rush before the doors close for the trade deadline is concerned, Caleb and Legend. So with that, the first deal that went down today was for Anthony Davis. And you guys can put in all the Anthony Davis jokes you want as far as what the Luka trade eventually got Dallas. And if you want to put that in your statements, by all means. But Dallas Mavericks and Washington Wizards, that came out of nowhere, because it's so funny, because at the moment, Shams dropped that Shams bomb in regards to Washington. ESPN.com, their first line was sources, Toronto and Dallas working on AD trade. So yeah, that didn't work out quite as well as planned. So he actually went to the Washington Wizards in a complete surprise. This one, I think, blew a lot of people away. Guys, I want to hear your thoughts. The Washington Wizards get Anthony Davis. It's so funny because they still list him as a forward. All right, whatever floats your boat. Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, Dante Exum. The Dallas Mavericks get Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, a 26 first rounder, 2030 first round pick. That's top 20 protected. By the way, the 26 is OKC, so that's probably going to be last of the first round. 26 second round pick from Phoenix, 27 second round pick from Chicago. They're going to be busy then. And 29 second round pick from Houston. So with that, guys, what are your thoughts on the Wizards and Mavericks doing some business, Caleb?
I mean, the reporting around it was really interesting, because I think maybe 90 seconds before, Tim McMahon, who's really plugged in with ESPN, he even tweeted that nothing is imminent on the Anthony Davis front. And then all of a sudden it was very imminent. He was getting traded. So, I think this one seems like there was just kind of this whole time, no one really knew what it would do. We heard about Atlanta. We heard about Toronto. There are others that were kind of mentioned as like maybe teams that made sense for him, and never was Washington on that list. It was not a team that anyone ever really thought was there for him. And I just think it's weird. I get it for Dallas, but I think with it being attached to the Luka trade, you wish you could have got a little bit more back. But I imagine the market for someone as often injured as Anthony Davis probably was just pretty weak. And for Washington, I get, when you're Washington, you're not in this. I'm sure maybe you guys talked about it already, or we'll talk about what happened with Jaren Jackson in Utah. Like, these are not markets that are going to attract these big, attractive free agents. Like they never have a chance at these guys unless they do moves like this. But I kind of have liked what the young guys in Washington have looked like this year. It seems like they kind of had a direction, and then Trae Young was just basically for free. So at that point, you get Trae Young, but this wasn't free, and I don't know that I love it for Washington, just in terms of because it's already been reported it's thought that they're going to give long-term extensions to Trae Young and AD. So you're kind of, in the East, I guess it's maybe worth it, but you're really locking yourself into two guys who I don't think necessarily you want to be your franchise building blocks.
Legend, what are your thoughts on this trade? It was the biggest trade of the day. AD, much maligned as far as his health, the street clothes. Again, great contributor to us as far as the Lakers are concerned for several years, but obviously the health issues have started to stack up. I remember back when he signed that extension with Rob Pelinka, and he could have waited for more money. That was the first thing I noticed. And I said at that time, he knows his body better than anyone else. And if he signed that quickly on the first day he was eligible and for a lesser amount than what he could have made, that tells me something right there and then. Flash forward years later, he's been injured quite a bit, and he is, like you said, like Caleb said, he might be still looking for more money, but that's a big risk for Washington if he does.
Yeah, I agree with Caleb. Like, to me, when Washington did what they did, it's like on paper, on NBA 2K, maybe it does look good, but in real life, just knowing how they really are, it's like a gamble that you're kind of taking. It's like AD has a lot of potential. He really do. But it's the red flags. You just can't ignore that. It's too many injuries happening, like back to back to back. It's like it's piling up at this point. I think he only played 29 games for the Mavericks since he's been traded there, and that's, to me, that's a humongous red flag taking on him in Washington. To me, it looks like his body is already basically telling the world, you don't got much time in the NBA. Look like your time is starting to wind down. The age is creeping up. I would be surprised if he made the 37 still playing the way he going. I just don't see it. And that's another red flag too. When he quickly signed that deal with the Lakers, when you know you could have waited and made a lot more money, that was a red flag right there. He knew that his body don't got that much time left. So I feel like Washington is really just throwing it all out there, just hoping for the best. And I get the feeling it's probably going to backfire. Maybe Trae Young might be decent, sell some tickets, but if you be competitive-wise, I don't see it. NBA 2K, maybe, yeah.
And I understand that. And Caleb, you're right. This is a deal because they're not going to get the free agents, but they haven't drafted great, to be kind. Sar, you said they've got some promise there. Koulibaly, Johnson, they have their moments. And then they also have their moments that go in a different direction. But, it is what it is right now in Washington. What do you think the future? I'm with Legend. I would be very wary with both Trae Young and also Anthony Davis being the cornerstones that you want to bank on for years to come. This is a team that, at its peak with the Bradley Beal era, didn't get that far in the playoffs. And I don't think I'm expecting a whole lot more than that this time around, Caleb.
No, Trae Young is, for me, from afar, like, I just feel like he'd be a really frustrating guy to kind of have around. And when I got that move I did, like, he's not really a perfect fit anywhere, but I totally got it because he was basically literally free. It was expiring contracts and no draft picks. Like, it was just, again, it goes back to, like, we're Washington. We're never going to get free agents. This guy clearly, if he makes it to the open market, would still get paid a lot of money. Just that's how the league works. And we're getting him for nothing, and we get him in house, and that's the easiest way to get these guys under extensions. And so I got that one, but I think their young core of Trey Johnson and Keyshawn George and Sar. I think Keyshawn George and Sar both look like keepers to me. I think those look like they kind of hit on two pretty good players there. And then we'll see on Trae Johnson coming out, like, his whole profile is just like tough shot maker, not much else yet. Like, we'll see what else happens with him, and he's an elite shooter. But that archetype doesn't necessarily always immediately translate to the NBA anyway, if it ever does. And so I think it's probably a little too early to judge Trey Johnson on anything. And then Koulibaly, I just think makes sense in this modern NBA era where you're seeing these teams with these big 6'7" plus the guys, long defensive and some ability to shoot threes. Now his ability to shoot threes is a little more hypothetical than it is in reality, and it has been his whole career. But I just they're in terms of the long-term direction with their young guys, I like it. Like I like what they're doing. It's going to take a while. They've gotten really unlucky in the lottery, and they're still doing okay. But in terms of this Anthony Davis move, I just don't know. For a team like Toronto that's a little older and established, and you have these big salaries to go out anyway, I kind of got it. But in this era of where shedding salary is more common than it's ever been before, I think going into the summer, when Utah took themselves off the board and Chicago slowly but surely taking themselves off the board, I think going into the summer as one of these huge cap space teams for people to dump contracts is honestly a pretty valuable spot to be in for a team like Washington that just needs to get draft picks. And they decided Anthony Davis and Trae Young were more worth it for them than accumulating assets. So that's the decision they've made. We'll see if it works out. I think I'm with Legend. I just don't think the idea of Anthony Davis has really only worked out in one place, and it was when he was with LeBron James. And by the end of it, it wasn't necessarily working out so well. So it worked out well enough to get a championship, and then it stopped. And I don't feel like the Wizards are probably having a LeBron James type guy walk through the door to help them out anytime soon. So yeah, I like their young core. I don't mind the Trey swing because of the cost, but this AD thing, I just don't necessarily think it's a move that if I was running a team, I would have made. I just don't think it's something that makes much sense.
Once again, this is NBA Observations on the Lakers Fast Break. It is Caleb Hansi. Go ahead and check out his work today on the Suave Report, including a great OKC article. Also, Swell Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Please like and subscribe to his great work as well on that channel. And this relates to something we talked about last night, and I know Caleb is here now because I think he wanted to relate to it. Is another team that isn't a free agent destination, Legend, in Utah, just rolling the dice on Triple J. And that's what it is. They're rolling the dice on Triple J to see if he'll be a good fit alongside Kessler and Markkanen. And then once they get their guards straightened out, as far as George has been fantastic for them this year, if Bailey gets to be the point where he looks like a top 5 pick that he was, then absolutely could be something special. Plus, with both these guys, just wanted to mention, what if Washington and Utah end up in the top 3 in the lottery this upcoming summer? They could add a real piece that could help them out. So they understand. It looks like their time is now, or their time is soon, because they're loading up for the future in both Washington and Utah. They're taking big risks or taking big gambles. One leaning more on older side, one leaning on a young possible phenom that could help carry their team forward, Legend. But it looks like they're both taking strategies to win sooner rather than later.
Personally, just looking at how things have played out, I like Utah direction a little bit way more than what Washington did. Yeah. I feel like their way is a little more promising. There's a better chance of succeeding versus I feel like Washington's already dead on arrival. I didn't feel like they are just banking, hoping Anthony Davis going to be healthy and not. Good luck with that part. But I feel like Utah has something going, at least on their side. The youth part is already there, and I feel like even in Utah, maybe you have to ask Triple J to be quote unquote the guy. At least not down there. At least, and I feel like he might play a lot better not being the guy and all that. So I'm trending more toward Utah. I even trending more towards Charlotte, because Charlotte is building and getting better.
Yeah, we'll get to Charlotte. Oh yeah, Charlotte's doing something really good. Mitch Kupchak ain't there anymore. So yeah, they're doing really something special there. We'll get to them in a second, but it is interesting to see, guys, what they're doing in both Utah and also as well in Washington. DBSH, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, says the Wizards Jazz making good moves. CP3 to the Raptors, he's laughing on that one. And we'll go over that one here in a bit. But that was essentially a salary dump on that one. But the next trade that went down is going to be geared towards you, my friend Caleb, and that is Oklahoma City Thunder getting Jared McCain. We weren't sure if the OKC Thunder needed to be or were going to be active, But they did go and get in kind of a surprise that
Mhm.
Philadelphia gave up so soon amongst that glut of guards that they have. Jared McCain, who early on in his rookie year was, really looking good. Philadelphia 76ers get back 2026 first from Houston. It's going to be a high pick this year. It's going to be something like, I'd say 25 to 28 would be my guess. 27 second round pick, the most favorable picks from OKC, Houston, Indiana, Miami, and a 228 second round picks from OKC in Milwaukee. Your thoughts on this trade, and what does this do for the OKC Thunder?
I mean, I think this kind of checks two boxes to me. The first one, which kind of relates to what I wrote most recently, is this team just desperately needed it needs more shooting. And that's not desperate. I don't think OKC desperately needs anything. That was a bit dramatic, but they needed more shooting. That was kind of the one weakness this team had even in the playoffs last year, is I think they were 32% for the postseason, and they were just able to overcome it. But in an improved West, I didn't think they were going to be able to this year if their shooting was as poor as it was last year. And this helps with that. McCain, he's not been near as good this year. He's been coming back from that injury. And he's maybe not showing to be like last year. I think he had stretches where he averaged over 15 points a game. Like he looked like a potential, really a steal there in Philly. And I don't necessarily think that that's the type of player he is. But he can definitely shoot the ball. That is his surefire NBA skill. He's a movement shooter. He's a set shot guy. Like he can shoot however you want him to shoot, and he can shoot from a decent distance too. So it was really important for OKC to go get just a cost controlled shooter with some upside. That's not necessarily all he's going to be, but that's what he is right now at least. And then in the long term, I think it's become clear, really to me, I guess maybe it was already to most, but with Lou Dort signing with Clutch last week, OKC is going to have to make some decisions with their guard rotation this summer. And I don't know whether that's someone like Dort maybe going elsewhere, or Crusoe, or Isaiah Joe, who knows who it is. But now this is a guy who can clearly play in the NBA with OKC's proven track record of development, especially of guards. Like all these guys have come to OKC and gotten a lot better. I don't see why McCain would be any different. And this is a guy who's under the, whatever he was, 18th, I think 16th picks salary for the next 2 years, most importantly for OKC, who's going to get really expensive really fast. So I really liked it. OKC heading into the day had they were scheduled to have almost, maybe with this Utah move, 4 first-round picks in this first round. And with where they're at as a team, you can't roster 4 rookies. They need players who what they're going to do. And they went and got one of those in McCain, who's still young enough where maybe he develops into a blossoming young player who can average double digits off the bench and be this awesome shooter. And defensively, he lacks a little bit, but really high basketball IQ. It seems like he knows where to fit in. And with OKC, that's kind of all you need to do defensively, especially if they keep most of that defensive core intact. Just try and be where you're supposed to be. So I really liked it for OKC. I think it's weird for Philly, but I do get it because I saw a comment like, yeah, they have VJ now. Edgecombe looks like he might be a superstar. And also
to keep Grimes. I think Grimes is somebody from when they picked up as an afterthought to someone now they think is an integral part of their rotation going forward. I know they have those contract issues, Caleb, but I believe that they will go ahead and try and straighten it out, because it looks like the larger sample size on Grimes is that he's taken that next step, and that what he did late last season did actually translate as far as overall in his play.
Yeah, I think if that was a real big part of their decision making, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. McCain's just younger and showed so much promise last year. I think if you're moving, and you're not going to have to pay him like you're going to have to pay Grimes right away. Like Grimes is going to be due some money this offseason, and you think he's maybe going to even go in a little bit more aggressive with how that went last offseason. So I think that would be a mistake if they just essentially chose Grimes over McCain. But I think the emergence of how good Grimes has been this year, despite that contract dispute, and then also VJ just is so much better and awesome, just better than anyone thought he would be. So I get it for both sides. I think if you'd have told a Sixers fan a year ago, right now, they would basically be netting 1 late first-round pick for Jared McCain, they'd probably be disappointed. And if you told OKC fans a year ago right now that they'd be getting Jared McCain for only 1 first-round pick, they'd be really excited. So I don't know. I want to say I think OKC maybe in the moment, I think it has higher upside for them, certainly. but we'll see what happens. He's a young player who is unproven, and all we know he can do is shoot, and that's enough for me to like it for OKC because they just need guys who can shoot.
And OKC was still even more active. We'll get to the next trade here in a minute. But Legend, let me get it to you. Once again, it is NBA Observations with Caleb Ponce from the Swab Report and Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. By the way, Legend, Drip Show Shop, at Drip Show Shop on Instagram and Twitter. He dropped a message for you in the chat. Just wanted to make sure if you got a heads up on that. He said, Legend, did you see? Yeah, so he said, did you see the Bay 4-time champion canvas? Check it out. There you go. Just wanted to make mention that to you.
I'll check it out.
Your Hawks just made a trade.
The Hawks just made a trade?
Yeah.
There you go.
They did.
All right.
Fun one to be here live for. I'm excited to see.
Legend. Well, we wanted some type of live activity, so we're glad for it. It's always great when it happens during the show. It happened during our taping, Caleb, if you remember, as far as the James Harden stuff that went down. Legend, while I have you, do you want me to get back to you in a second while you look it over what the Hawks did, or?
Yes. Oh, holy smoke.
Yeah.
Okay.
So while you're looking over that right there, and it's coming through right now, we'll go ahead and drop that and everybody in a second. Caleb, there was the next trade that went down as far as the Hornets and Bulls swap guards. Mike Conley, the end of his career. I feel bad, but he is being passed around. You can put in whatever you want as far as the proverbial joke there, but he is being passed around pretty. Kind of sad for a guy who's played as many years in his career, but it's a business and it's what's going to happen. But the Chicago Bulls, they get Colin Sexton, Ousmane Dieng, the famous 3 first-round picks for that OKC gave up to the New York Knicks to get him, a 29, 31, and 29 second-round pick and 2 2031 second-round picks. Charlotte gets Mike Conley, Kobe White, who I think is the key player out of all this, somebody I was thinking of possibly being a good fit for the Lakers bench, and Mike Conley, Kobe White, and 2029 second-round pick. And then the OKC Thunder waived Mason Plumlee, I guess, upon getting him as well. So your thoughts, Caleb, while we look over this Atlanta trade that's come up, which I'll announce here in a second. Your thoughts on this trade, again, with Ousmane Dieng. It's one of those reaches, one of those rare misses for Sam Presti. But again, when you have so many picks to choose from, you can, I don't want to say essentially blow three first round draft picks.
That's what happened. I mean, you can say it.
But, when you're in the position that he's in, you can essentially blow 3 first round picks on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly I'm glad that Jang's going to go somewhere that he's going to have to play because he's has some vertical talent at a minimum, and that's something that's in desperate need in Chicago right now. He's pretty tall, so he'll get to play there as they're currently constructed. And I think he's a talented guy, and I'm excited for him to get some opportunities because I said this on Monday. I've said this 2 or 3 times. His obvious Thunder comp was always Poku because they both came in. They're these raw, tall, multi-talented, but really, are they talented at all? Wings. And I really think that I think he's going to stick if he gets some playing time here in Chicago. I think he's a talented guy. We'll see. Maybe I'm looking at him through rose-tinted glasses, but just quickly on the OKC part, obviously that's what I'm most familiar with. That was just a tax move that they needed to do to stay under the tax and still be able to bring in McCain. Mason Plumlee was cheaper than Plumlee was cheaper than Ousmane Dieng, and they were able to waive him and stay under the tax. But for Chicago, they've been frustrated. I stupidly stamped them as thinking they were actually good early this season, and it's the biggest mistake I've made in my time on this show. I feel like an idiot every single time I think about it. But I do finally maybe like the direction they're going, and I'm going to give them some more props. They get Jaden Ivey, who I think we just don't know. He's never really had much of an opportunity to spread his wings and be what he can in Detroit. He probably needs the ball a good amount, and he's with Cade Cunningham, who he should never have the ball over. Reminds me of another Bull, Josh Giddey in Oklahoma City, where he needs the ball to be himself, and he should never have had the ball over Jalen Williams or SGA. There just was no chance. He needed to go somewhere where he could have the ball. I feel similarly about Jaden Ivey, so I actually like that. Jang's a young swing who, if he isn't any good, then his contract expires after this year. And with bringing in Ivy and Giddey kind of being Giddey being maybe the center of what they want to do, They had too many guards, and so they needed to trade these guys. I think everyone who followed closely knew maybe that Kobe White was going to be on the move here, and I think Charlotte wasn't the landing spot that I had in mind. But I don't dislike it. I think Kobe White's a talented guy. He can really score. He's from that area. He's a high school legend in North Carolina. He's going back home. So I like it. I like getting Kobe White. I think he's talented. He's on a good contract. And I'm glad that Charlotte seems to be investing in this young core because they should. And I think that he makes a lot of sense with this. I can see a 5-man lineup of LaMelo, Kobe White, Knuppel, Brandon Miller, and Diabate really being a pretty good lineup this year. So I like it for Charlotte, but there's bigger things afoot here. So I'll just wrap it at that. I like it. I kind of like it for everybody. I like the direction that everybody went. And I wish Chicago would maybe pick up some picks every once in a while, but that doesn't seem to be their style.
They did a couple second rounders yesterday. Yeah, they did. They got a couple second rounders yesterday, but you're right. They've been the most active team out of anybody during this trade period, but have only managed, like you said, a couple second round picks at most on that. Not a whole plethora of cash, or not a cachet per se of a whole bunch of picks there, but they've been just making. It just seems like they've been making trades to make trades to a sense, and it's just kind of weird what they're trying to do with it. I mean, they still have an abundance of expiring contracts, so we'll see what irons itself out with Chicago. But I have a feeling they're just throwing darts, and they're going to try and see what sticks in Chicago because they're tired of winning 37, 38 wins every single year, and they want to do something more, but we'll wait and see. But Legend, we will go ahead a little bit out of order because during the show right now, we want to go ahead and report a trade. A good trade or a concerning trade if you're a Golden State fan. And Legend, you follow Golden State. I'm gonna let you talk about this first. It was Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield going to Atlanta for Kristaps.
Thank you, Jesus. It's over. It's finally over. So at least that's over.
It's good, and is it not so good when you look at it? Your thoughts, my friend, on this trade as it's hitting you right now?
Not that great for sure. The part that is probably good is you finally put the whole Kuminga saga behind you. So at least that part is behind you. The not so great part kind of lets you know that this team ain't finna win absolutely nothing. And I get the feeling that the Giannis situation, this is finna go into the summer and everybody finna shoot their best shots at Giannis this summer. So I get the feeling that's probably what's about to happen unless.
So you think they closed the door on the you think that the 4 draft picks weren't enough to go ahead and facilitate a trade?
I'm thinking Milwaukee's going to sit here and just go to the summer and see what is everyone around the league is going to offer. I think they're going to take their chance and listen to everybody.
So the word
for the Hawks side, I'm not too mad about that because just to see how Jalen and Kuminga know how they work together. And see
for someone who hasn't been healthy and someone who has a mysterious illness that can pop up at any moment. Go ahead, Caleb.
That is a Golden State problem.
The Warriors just made another trade, and this one I don't really get unless there's something else coming, is they traded Trace Jackson Davis to the Raptors for a second-round pick. I just don't.
Okay. I don't get that one either.
Yeah.
Unless something finna happen that might be a sign something finna happen.
Well, let's see if there's any more pieces, like you said, the Lakers are involved in this one. So Trace Jackson Davis to the Toronto Raptors. Oh, well, okay. Here it is for the Lakers for a 2026 second round pick via the Lakers. So they basically get the Lakers second round pick as far as Golden State does. So whoop-de-doo on that one. So yes, Golden State Warriors get TJD as far as sent to Toronto for a 2026 Lakers picks in the second round. So there you go on that one. But I don't know if there going to be any more pieces added to that Kristaps Porzingis trade. I don't know. I'm not sure about how the money is breaking out, if there's any more picks involved. Maybe Sham is still trying to work that out, but it's interesting, Caleb, because it's a sign that tells me that it looks like they're wheeling and dealing and wooing Milwaukee on Giannis might have just hit the fence for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really seemed like if Giannis was going to go anywhere, there was a lot of Wolves momentum that picked up yesterday. And in all honesty, it really just feels like this Giannis thing is either going to go to the offseason or the Wolves are going to pull something crazy off. And I would lean probably 80-20 toward the offseason one. It's really been pretty out there that Giannis is not particularly interested in Golden State. I think Mark Stein's been on that. Which is interesting because the Golden State package, obviously those picks are really valuable because you're going to be post Curry and who knows. Just in terms of what I think about it, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're like. The Warriors, to me, they're obviously in a position where they just are going to have to do some last gasp stuff. And this isn't a bad thing. Like, this is a commendable end to a remarkable era, truly. Like, this is how it's supposed to end. Guys get old. It kind of just watching from afar I grew up obviously watching OKC. I wasn't the biggest Warriors guy, believe it or not. But seeing Clay gone now with how this has ended is pretty unfortunate. But this is how it's supposed to end. Steph is still amazing, but the team around him is kind of going down. They've done what they can for these people who there seems to be some weird sentiment that they kind of like haven't tried, or maybe they've sat on their hands. And I don't know what, like, they traded for Jimmy Butler. I don't know what people kind of thought they were going to do. I guess maybe like getting Markkanen a few summers ago. But in terms of, I think they've done what they can to extend this. And this is just another thing. Like, Porzingis is a huge risk. But Kuminga, that was dead. It was toxic. It was like, there's nothing positive about it. There was no scenario where he became some contributor. It was completely dead. And you turn him into a guy in Porzingis who, is a huge risk, but he is talented. And if the Warriors can get something out of him, he really fits what they like to do there. So I don't think it's a huge deal for either side. I think it totally makes sense. I think Kuminga is a talented guy, and he does. The Trace Jackson Davis thing, I don't really know what to think of him. I haven't really kept tabs. I know he had a really strong rookie season, but since then, I know he's not like some gem that's thought of as some key piece of the Warriors' future. But still, that one just makes it seem like they have to have something else in tow. I don't think that means it's Giannis, but maybe they have some other move that they're collecting a second round pick for to be able to go get another bench guy or something. But yeah, I think that this is a commendable end for the Warriors, and I respect that they're still trying to do stuff around Steph Curry because of how great he is, but this is how it's supposed to happen, and it's making sense. And I do not think that this means that they're going to, all of a sudden, we're going to wake up tomorrow and they're going to have Giannis on their team.
It's funny, though, because you look at it, he fits the Toronto style legend as far as Kuminga does. A slasher who can hit for the mid-range, but stretching the floor is kind of an issue for him. But he's getting a new lease on life. He wanted a new lease on life. Now he's got one. What kind of role do you think he can play in Toronto and the Great White North?
You can definitely help him out a good little bit, and having a chance to be free now is the biggest thing too, though. But Toronto is in a situation where there's not a lot of pressure, not a lot of be the man, or it's just a championship or bust situation. You can kind of have a breath of new life, and it's probably one of the biggest things I would say about going to Toronto is it's a breath of new life. There's no
he's
pressure.
He's going to Atlanta.
Oh yeah, he's going to Atlanta.
So yeah. So Atlanta. I'm sorry, I said Toronto, but yeah, he's going to Atlanta. You're right. Sorry, the TJD, Trace Jackson Davis is going to Toronto, but Atlanta gets him. But how's he going to fit with Jalen Johnson if that's the case?
That's gonna be curious to see how these two work together. I say it's not like they're gonna win no championship, anything like that. So they have time to mess around and play around and try different styles to see how it may work out. With them being like a young team and just building around Jalen right now, it could possibly work depending on how you mix some pieces.
You bench Risa
might possibly have to. Right now,
that's your number one draft pick from last year. You bench Risa Shea.
He don't look like it right now. He don't look like it.
That's all I'm saying. Just again,
he was in the G League for 24 hours and they brought him back.
Yeah. So I'll just say this again. It is Buddy Hield and Jonathan Kuminga going to from Golden State to Atlanta for Kristaps Porzingis. They subsequently, Golden State traded Trace Jackson Davis to Toronto for the Lakers 2026 second round pick. That's the only I guess inference the Lakers have had so far.
Welcome to the Peach State. We'll see.
Yeah, almost every other team has been active here, but the Lakers obviously have been mysteriously quiet up until this point. We'll get to them here in a little bit, but heading back to what we were covering as far as the trades are concerned. But it's good to see that they are up late. We were worried that they had closed shop for the day, but it looks like these GMs are still out and still having these conversations, Caleb. Chris Paul to the Raptors. Speaking of the Raptors, we talked about them getting Trace Jackson Davis. Chris Paul to the Raptors in a 3-team deal. So what are your thoughts on this? The Brooklyn Nets get Ochai Agbaji. I know that I have a Pinty from Germany. He's been constantly on trying this 3-team deal, which was going to send Ochai Agbaji, Zaire Williams, and Day'Ron Sharpe to the Lakers. And I'm like, the guy, Ochai Agbaji, is shooting. You shoot better from 3. He's shooting 19% from 3 right now, just to give everybody an idea. The Clippers get the draft rights to Vanya Marinkovic, a.k.a. they just don't want nothing. They just wanted to get rid of Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. They wanted the cap space removed. Your thoughts on this, Caleb? Because Toronto Raptors are getting Chris Paul. I'm assuming he's not taking a ride to the Great White North.
No, I mean, I think it's already out there. He's getting, waived and he's going to be bought out, whatever, and he's going to be able to go where he wants. I think the more interesting thing, I mean, quickly, I don't mind Agbaji. I know we've talked about him. He's fine. Toronto's a good place for him. Go see if you're anything. If you can't play well in your opportunity in Toronto, then good luck.
He's in Brooklyn now.
Brooklyn, yeah.
With the 50 guards that they have now.
Yeah, so if you can't go to Brooklyn and be kind of like a competent wing who can look like anything, then it's probably not happening for you. But for CP, I think the really interesting thing about this is where CP3 ends up, because this is a trade that I don't know. I mean, Toronto, I guess they were done with Agbaji and wanted to get off of the salary, and now they can with CP3, who makes a little less money than him, I believe. So, I mean, I think that's what the interesting thing is. I don't know what the buyout market's going to look like. It seems like Minnesota is going to have to probably be pretty active, but it also seems like Mike Conley just is already basically, and I hope he didn't sell his house, because it seems like he's already just going to be back in Minnesota again.
Yeah, I think so, indeed. Unless he didn't want to live there in the first place. But yeah, you're right. He's got a place that he likes in Minnesota. Might want to hold on it for a little while longer, because he can come back to Minnesota if he's waived. The normally league rule says if you're traded and then waived, you cannot go back to the team that you were traded from. Well, he's been traded twice. So that's the Andrew Bogut rule. He's now can be actually brought back by the Minnesota Timberwolves. So don't be surprised if you see that. But Legend, you should be happy. You should be thrilled, because yes, you did trade away your center in Porzingis, but you got a center return. You got Jock Landale, man. Jock Landale, again, for the Aussies out there who love Jock Landale, he is going to Atlanta. The Utah Jazz get Lonzo Ball, who is going to be waived. Cash considerations. Remember, Jock Landale was in the Triple J trade to Utah Jazz, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers in this get 2 second-round picks. Your thoughts on this one? Lonzo Ball, can he still help a team? He's coming back for that major injury. He looked good in Chicago last year, looked terrible this year in Cleveland. Like Chris Paul, there's going to be there's going to be a glut of old guards floating around looking for jobs.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of old guys and guys coming out major injuries trying to find a home somewhere. But I think Chris Paul will find somebody that may not mind just having him do his last ride with them guys, because at the end of the day, Chris Paul's not going to contribute anything too major, but this is a good voice to have in your locker room, either for a championship contender team who may want another person who can be a strong opinion and help keep the guys focused and all that. So I think Chris Paul will find somebody that's willing to take him. Not sure who's going to be, but he'll find somebody. There got to be somebody out there that's willing to take him. But Lonzo, there's some injuries, man. He can't stay healthy.
He just can't. I feel bad because, again, his knees deteriorated. There's a period of time when he couldn't even walk up steps. We don't know how much he has left, or if it's just looking like he has to look at alternative means. But yeah, it could be getting close to the end of road for Lonzo Ball. And a what if will probably go along with it, because when he was drafted by the Lakers, it looked like the sky was the limit. And Unfortunately, that didn't turn out to be the case. Was it the BBBs? I don't know. I'll let you guys go ahead and talk about that in the comments.
LaMelo ended up being the best out of the trio.
Yeah, maybe that's because he was the youngest and didn't have to wear the BBBs as long. But Caliph, I want to go ahead and hit you up on this one. This ties into what both you and Legend were talking about earlier with the Charlotte Hornets, who might be a team now that we have to worry about as far as the Eastern Conference playoff picture is concerned. They played extremely well as of late. They have got high tempo offense. They picked up Kobe White in an earlier trade. Now they picked up Tyus Jones from the Orlando Magic. They get a couple second round picks on top of it, and Orlando just gets cash in return. This is a salary dump because I think Tyus is about $7 million. He has underwhelmed in Orlando. Do you think he can help Charlotte, or is he also going to be on the move looking for a team to latch on to?
There hasn't been any news that he's going to get bought out. I think I don't necessarily think Charlotte's in a spot to be buying guys out either. Like they're at this point, they've been pretty good for 6 weeks, and so I just think having another experienced depth guard is not going to be a bad thing for them. The cost was literally money, so if your owner will pay it, then there's no reason not to do it. He's an experienced guy. He's been in winning situations. He's been in rebuilding situations. He's been in a lot of situations, so he's good to have in your locker room, I think. And for Orlando, I'm sure there's some tax reason they're doing this. I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet. I don't know if this gets them under an apron or gets them under the tax or what the deal is, but this is just like when we were on here and I first heard of the James Harden thing, I said, oh, Orlando makes all the, like, I would love him more in Orlando. That makes all the sense to me because they just need another guard who can, and Anthony Black's look good, but they don't necessarily have a ton of shooting on the team. That's why they had to pay out the nose for Desmond Bane. And if you're not going to turn this money into another guy, I think that's pretty disappointing for what their expectations were before the season.
Once again, it is Caliph Ponce. That's the guy on the right that you're talking about, the bloke, as they're saying in Australia. Yes, you're the bloke in the top right hand corner. He writes for the New Century Press and also as well the Suave Report. He just finished an article that you need to check out today on the Suave Report regarding the OKC Thunder. He is on with me every Monday, Jeremy. If you watch NBA Observations, it's a really good watch with him and I going over the latest trends. Legend comes on for shows as well. The NBA Observations, we're giving you a live taste of what I go ahead and upload at least once a week right here to this channel. You're missing out, Jeremy, on some really great NBA Observations each and every week on that. But Caliph, again, we're talking about Charlotte and then Legend as well. I want to get you in on this here as well, Legend. What are your thoughts are as far as, and the Legend, I'll bring it to you first, Charlotte, because this was a team about a month ago that looked like they were going to be a seller at the trade deadline. Now they look like a team that should be on the upswing. Mind you, it's probably not going to end as well as they hope as far as this season is concerned, but man, as long as they keep those guys healthy, their future is looking very bright, Legend.
Yeah, their future looks very, very bright. Like they can really building towards something. Jerry, I'm going to say, I think teams like Charlotte, what makes it interesting is these younger teams are now the ones that have been bad for so long. They're starting to build up. They're like how Oklahoma was. They was bad for so long, and now they kicking everybody butt in the Western Conference pretty much now. It's like it looked like Charlotte maybe starting to turn that corner. Not going to say they're going to be like Oklahoma, but they're not going to be that little kid in the East where you play them. Well, that's a guaranteed W. We know we're going to win this game. Now they're going to start being competitive. And I think that's a good thing. And they did a really good job drafting that kid who they got playing on. They did an excellent job.
Knipple? Yeah,
Knipple.
Yeah, Knipple's played really well. Eric says he's making a good case for Rookie of the Year. Again, Cooper Flagg is blowing up since he came back for that injury. So I think Cooper Flagg's got a definite number. It's like Cooper, his former teammate Com Knipple, and then everybody else as far as Rookie of the Year. But there is actually quite a few. Caliph and I have gone over, and so Legend as well. We've gone over several rookies in the NBA on NBA Observations on our shows. You have to catch our conversations because they're really in depth on the league. If you want to know more about the league, You watch NBA observations right there for you. But Caleb, again, we're seeing the moves made by Utah, the moves made by Washington, the moves made by Chicago, and the moves made by Charlotte. All these moves point towards a sign that they are no longer want to be stagnant. They no longer want to be in the position that they're in. And yet, while it probably won't materialize too much in a difference this season for what their trajectory was, their future for all four of these teams could be looking a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I think of those like Utah. I think that was a heavy price to pay, and I mean, if anyone who does listen to NBA observations knows, Jaren Jackson's been talked about on there a lot, and I'm not necessarily his biggest fan, especially at the number he's on right now. But again, as I said earlier in the show, like they had cap space, and they know that you're the Utah Jazz. You're not gonna be able to use it on anyone. It's basically gonna be a dumping ground, or you can use this breakout from Keontae George where you look like you have a future All-Star. We'll see what happens with Ace Bailey, but I think he's been pretty promising. And then the next three of Markkanen and Jaren Jackson and Kessler is I think that can hold up with about anybody. That's a pretty good, bottom three of your lineup. So
do you think Markkanen can play the three still?
Yeah, I do. Okay. We'll see. I think it's worth an experiment at least. I mean, we'll see if it works out, I guess. But I think with his shooting ability, and he's always been pretty good with the ball in his hands, I think especially with those defensive players behind him, because I think that would be what the big concern would be he's just going to get blown by on defense. Well, if you get blown by, you have two elite shot blockers now in the paint. So I think that that is fine, him at the three. For Charlotte, yeah, I mean, this Charlotte group, Knupple's awesome. Brandon Miller's awesome. LaMelo seems like he's finally playing organized basketball. Diabate has been a great find. And now they go get a Kobe White, who I think they should extend. Like he's a really, I think, a pretty versatile and good offensive guard to be the fifth guy in that lineup. I kind of said that a little bit earlier, but Chicago, I think, is going the other way, where Chicago is maybe taking some of these more established guys, and we'll see what they do with Ayo Dosunmu tomorrow, but they're taking some of these more established guys and maybe resetting, going for like a Jaden Ivey, a little bit younger of a guy. But and then so I think Chicago may be finally going the other way, which is a good thing. And then Washington, we'll see. I don't know. I don't get any team in their position adding Anthony Davis, but they did, and that's so who knows.
Okay. Joe, is that you on the feedback? Joe Soro is here. I know that some people in the chat were asking for him. Joe, it's been a very active day for other teams, but not so for the Lakers.
Is that disappointing?
No. I mean, again, what real moves can they make with what little assets they have?
There's a bigger picture here, and the picture is, if Giannis doesn't get traded by tomorrow to Minnesota, which is really the only team I think that would make sense for him to not make either a worse move or a lateral move, then I don't know what I just don't have an answer to any of it. He wants to go to a big market team, and I know the Knicks were hinted as one of his destinations, if not the destination. There's some noise about him wanting to go to Miami. The problem with Miami is they have nothing. At least the Lakers have cap space coming this summer, and they have Austin Reeves, and they'll get a couple more first-round picks once the season is over. And then New York, I don't know if Jalen Brunson is the guy that he wants to play with to go on a run. I don't think Jalen Brunson is that star. I think he's extremely good, but he's not Luka Doncic. And that's the other problem in Miami, is they don't have a star, not even close over there, not even a Jalen Brunson style type star. So let's look at this from an objective standpoint real quick, from his perspective. Forget about the Lakers and forget about all the other teams. What is the best chance for him to win when it comes to big market and a mega star in his prime to go play with?
That's a good point.
Right? So the other option is, does Boston get antsy and say, let's trade one of the the pillars of that team and let's go get Giannis. That's probably the only thing that would maybe be ahead of the Lakers at this point. Are you going to trade Jaylen Brown or are you going to trade Jason Tatum? Now, the reason why I bring that up it wouldn't really be Jaylen Brown, it would be Jason Tatum because torn Achilles, would they want to jump on that a little earlier than just in case? Probably not. I'm just kind of thinking out loud on that one. But if I'm looking at his career and where he's going, this is a player who's got probably 3 years left of prime basketball. He's going to want to go somewhere where he can compete immediately and someone that can handle the load with him. There isn't anyone right now other than Boston, if they give up Jason Tatum, or if Oklahoma City says, screw it, let's just go get him and guarantee we're going to win. I don't know. I don't know how that would work out either. I don't know if Oklahoma City wants that either. So here's where I think this is going to play out. If he doesn't end up in Minnesota by tomorrow, I think the Lakers go after him hard at the end of the year. And I'm reading that as of things at the moment, the Lakers are the only team right now that are competing, that are like competitive. Again, I know a lot of Laker fans are kind of spoiled. The 30-19 team is sucky to them, which, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of with them on that. Sometimes I feel like, Laker fans are like that, where we're selfish and we're greedy, right? But they'll be the only competitive team at the moment that'll have cap space this summer. That's an advantage. And, of course, the biggest advantage of them all, they have one of the best owners in sports that just took over about 3 months ago. So that's how I'm looking at this. And it's becoming more and more obvious that if there's no movement out of Milwaukee by tomorrow, I have full confidence. And I'm not saying they're going to get him, but they're going to go very, very hard to go get him this summer. That's good. That's the plan. There is nothing else. I wanted him in 2027 because I'm basing it off of the fact that he's a free agent. He has control, and the Lakers wouldn't have to give up anything. You could keep Austin Reeves. You have Luka Doncic. You can get stuff. Hopefully, get a good player in the draft this year. You can do that, but it doesn't look like there's going to be patience on this one. So the Lakers are going to have to jump a year on this. And if they get him, even if it means giving up Austin Reeves, it's a win because you're going to have at least another 3 years of his prime talent with Luka playing MVP ball right now. And then they're going to start building around those guys. And that's enough. That's enough to start getting some really good players around them and not having to worry about, do we have the right pillars to get this thing going.
So Caleb, as far as, like I said, we have a few hours left before the NBA trade deadline, and we'll be here tomorrow morning. Joe will probably be with me then as far as that, and we'll see who else is going to join us tomorrow morning. Everybody is welcome. I'm going to send the invite out to everybody. Our coverage starts at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, right here on the Lakers Fast Break. But let me get you to Caleb right here. Caleb, wanted to ask you this. With OKC starting to see something. Some people are starting to say that they're starting to see some cracks. Of course, SGA was announced as out through the All-Star break with an injury. Doesn't seem to be that serious. It's just like, okay, it's just take some time off. Basically, you've got a hangnail, or I know it's something that's different, but you've got basically something that you can go ahead and rest through the All-Star break on. But as we saw tonight against the matchup against San Antonio, which they lost, that gap is closing. Does this period where you have just a few hours left, does that still maybe get motivated San Antonio to get in the mix for something, Houston to get in the mix for something big, or a Denver, or Detroit to do a little bit more, or somebody to start thinking in that top echelon of teams to start thinking, hey, maybe that gap isn't so far between us and OKC.
I mean, on the Thunder front, like those losses a few weeks ago, this loss tonight, like they were running out. That 10 of their 15 standard contract players were out and they somehow the fact it was close with San Antonio is insane. I can't believe that. I didn't even watch, and then I started getting tweets that it's like a 4-point game with 3 minutes left. Well, I should probably at least check in on what's going on, but I think OKC addressed possibly a need there with McCain just being another shooter, but for other teams, I think San Antonio, I think they'd be smart to just see what they are this year. You already have your 3 guys who are going to be your guys with Harper, Castle, and Wemby. I think anything, unless they get word, unless they secretly this offseason are planning on making that Giannis move, which doesn't feel like something they should or would do to me. And you get word tomorrow, like he's going to Minnesota now, or so it's like now or never, then I guess that's like a less than 1% chance of something big that could happen with one of these teams. But other than that, like, I don't think they should make a move. Houston, I thought they would be a great Kobe White team, but they clearly were not as interested as they should have been. I think they'd be a great Ayu Dosunmu team. We'll see if they maybe want to get in on him. He's probably I would think maybe a bit cheaper than Kobe White would be. So I think Houston should just go get a guard. I think that would be a good Chris Paul team, but I think that not that he'd help, but just as someone to organize in the regular season, and then you get to the playoffs and he can't play anymore. But
he'll yell though. He'll yell like he's still playing.
Yeah, and he's. I think he'd be helpful to have around for like a guy like you're trying to really turn these young guys into franchise point guards now, whether that's Amen Thompson or Reed Shepherd. I think he'd be helpful to have around for those guys, but I think his beef was with ownership as much as Daryl Morey when he left Houston, so I don't think that's a particularly realistic outcome. Another team's Detroit. Kevin Huerter was on the low end of guys who I thought they should go get just because they needed more. They're like OKC.
He's been struggling this season, though, Caleb.
He has been, but with him, I think he has an established enough track record. You take the risk on him, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not like he's immovable or anything like that.
He's expiring too.
So yeah, even better. So I think that made sense for them. But I mean, I said on Monday, I thought that they would be. I still think they should be sniffing around Michael Porter, a guy like that. Maybe he's just too bad defensively to fit in there. That's possible too. And so, I mean, in Denver, no. I mean, Denver doesn't have – I think Denver's made their moves. I don't think Denver has any moves to make unless something just kind of falls into their lap just where they're at salary-wise. So I think we're kind of seeing the contenders as is unless Minnesota can get this Giannis thing across the finish line, which changes everything in the West and in the NBA. And the power balance of the East-West would be so even crazier than it already is. Yep. But unless that happens, I just don't think any team that I could feasibly see making the finals in either conference seems poised to make any more moves at all, or especially like big moves to me right now. And I don't think that OKC's recent struggles, I think they kind of showed when they were healthy again against Denver and Orlando, like this is still probably the team to beat for everybody if there was doubts. Like they just went out there, and I guess Orlando's been struggling, but no one doubts the talent of Orlando, and that game was over in 10 minutes. And that Denver game, they really kept Denver at arm's length that whole second half with Jokic in the lineup. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anything's possible. The Jonathan Kuminga market was dead until he just got traded. So that's just how the NBA kind of works right now. But we'll see. I don't feel like any contender big moves are coming unless the Knicks or Timberwolves maybe come out of nowhere with this Giannis stuff.
Once again, it is, of course, NBA Observations. Joe Soros here also as well. Caleb Ponce from the New Century Express and also the Suave Report, where he just dropped a major story on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Check it out today at the Suave Report. Also as well, of course, Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Legend, your two favorite teams just traded with each other. I don't know how much it did to improve either team's outlook for this season and beyond. With a few hours left in the timeline, is there any of trade targets that you had in mind still out there that you think either of your teams should go get?
Honestly, not too much. I'm about at the point of just going to the summer and just look to refix and retool really this roster. Just like Caleb said a little while ago, I feel like the contenders is pretty much set to me at this point. I feel like in the West, it's pretty much already decided between 4 teams who it's going to be between. And then the East is kind of going to be between like 2 or 3 teams that are going to probably come out the East. I feel like that stuff is pretty much locked at this point, unless like he said too, unless Giannis finna go to Minnesota or New York and then major changes end up happening. Otherwise, I don't really see too much major people I'm really looking for either my team, and not much else they can really do for this season wise. I think this season is just about to reach its conclusion. It looked like he kind of got an idea of how this thing is going to play out.
I got asked last night by Pinty in Germany about the possibility of Draymond Green being traded to the Lakers. And I know Brian Windhorst on ESPN LA mentioned the same thing as a possibility. I'm going to ask it from your standpoint, because if he gets traded to the Lakers, Joe and I may just shut down this channel. We just may shut this down. We just absolutely. Otherwise, you'll hear expletives from him. You'll hear expletives from me for just a straight hour. And all of them will include Fire Rob. And we'll name a show just Fire Rob. We'll just, from now on, we'll just do every show Fire Rob, and it'll just have somewhere in there as far as that's concerned, if we stay on and continue the channel. But you want to shut down this channel, go ahead and trade for Draymond Green. But that being said, and I'm assuming Joe would say something similar, because he's had a lot of not so nice things to say about Draymond Green, nor do I. But at this point, JY is asking this and leading into his question that he had. Legend, how bad do you want Draymond traded? He was getting all misty a little bit as far as his time in a press conference after the game. I think it was last night, where he was talking about, you know what, hey, if I'm traded, I'm traded. I've had 13 and a half great years here, et cetera, et cetera. Are the fans tired of him as far as in Golden State? What is the mood like at this point in time? Because, you know, if he does get traded, where would he be traded to if it's not the Giannis trade? Because I really don't see a great fit anywhere outside of where he is right now.
I can definitely say I do see a lot of people kind of ready to kind of get ready to, you know, tear it down and kind of get started moving on. The dynasty has been over. That dynasty is over. That ended a while back. We won't see another dynasty like that for a while. It's over. So I think it's a lot of people is kind of the point of Draymond can't really give what he gave back then, which is why the Lakers would went after him. Even I kind of said, yeah, you should be fired if you did that trade. You should be fired. All you guys should be beyond mad, and I'll probably feel bad for y'all that guy's running y'all team, because that made no sense to get Draymond. He doesn't solve any of your issues. He can't shoot that great. He don't defend like he did back when during our dynasty run and all that. You just basically just got a well beyond past his time, Draymond, and that wouldn't help you. That would make no sense. Draymond still can do some good things, but at this point in age, a lot of the shenanigans, it ain't worth it. Not at this point. It was worth it when you were going through the dynasty, when he was giving you them defensive plays, running the fast break, setting up Stephen Clay for open easy threes, even KD with easy threes and all. At this point in time, it's not worth it. That would be pretty dumb if Rob did that. I mean, that would just be kind of up there with Nico doing something stupid.
Joe, again, I don't want to upset you with the mention of Draymond Green coming to the Lakers, because I know that just churns your stomach just as much as I do. But if there's a player out there that you think, you know, that the Lakers should go after, even if it's for a minor trade, even if it's just a trade along the fringes, I understand that the goal, the concept, and what looks to be the pathway through is that the Lakers will most likely save an abundance of cap space. But even if it just to save face, just to put a Band-Aid on whatever it is this season, is there anyone you think that might be coming the Lakers' way this season?
Yes, through the buyout. I think there's a chance they could go after Middleton. But then again, Middleton might, I'm hearing rumors that he might end up going to, who was it? Dang it, I just drew a blank. Was it
Detroit?
I don't think it was Detroit. I think it was
Denver?
No. I think it was. I might have heard Houston, but I don't quote me on that. I believe the news that they think this team is good enough to make a run. And I'm not saying that they truly believe that. What that is it's code for we'll do our best to bring something in if we can without giving up, obviously, any draft capital of significance. But we already know what we're going to be doing in 3 months, regardless of what happens. And you just can't deviate from that, because even if you had a chance at going after Giannis now, what are you going to give up? You'd have to give up something, probably too much of something, of things that you probably don't have. So it's just better to wait. And, looking at seeing how Oklahoma City's been performing here the last few months, Denver just lost its third in a row. The rant tonight is more about, and I'm going to say this because I heard on the radio today on what Oklahoma City was going to do in terms of sitting Chet and everybody. This on a nationally televised game, no less. These guys don't give two shits about the fans. They don't give a shit about the league. They don't give a shit about anything except themselves. Everything has to mean something for them. And this is me saying that selfishness has gotten to the point of disgust, because basketball players in the NBA have always been selfish. But they played 82. They tried to play 82 games, and they competed in the All-Star games back in the day. They gave a shit a little bit more when it came to those things. And to me, those are the things that matter. I don't care if you're Adrian Dantley and want to get his. Now it's nice to admire somebody that wants to play. How bad is that? Now we have to give compliments to players for saying, "Hey, look at you. You played 81 games this year. And the only reason why you missed that one game was because you had a personal situation where you had to go and maybe your kid got born or something," right? So that's how pathetic this has gotten. And going back to the Giannis thing, the Lakers, once LeBron is gone and Curry is, I don't see Curry going anywhere. I don't think so. But he's dead man walking in San Francisco right now. Like, what are they going to do? Who's going to go to Golden State and play with Steph Curry? Not because Steph Curry isn't cool to play with. Steph is done in terms of like what he ultimately was. Viable, still could play another 5-6 years. Yeah, but he's not going to be Steph MVP. So who's going to want to go there? And that's something that Golden State's going to have to figure out too. I don't know what they're going to do in San Francisco. And there is a positive there, though. I'm not going to put it all negative on Golden State. Golden State, Steph Curry is one of the best team players in sports history, in that the ego doesn't get in the way. Him and Clay were tight. Draymond and him were tight. He was very, very complimentary when Durant came in. And the reason why they won 4 championships, a lot of the reasons why, besides his talent, was because he did embrace the team concept no matter who was there. He didn't care that Durant won the finals MVPs. He just wanted to win championships. And that's something to admire. That's very 80s like mentality that I've tried to really, really make. He's the guard. He's basically the guard version of Tim Duncan. And he should be complimented more for that than anything else, besides the fact that he's an MVP. Like, that should be the next thing they say. Amazing talent, greatest shooter of all time, without even like hesitation. But the other thing is, the reason why this was possible to win 4 is because he was such a unselfish superstar. So yeah, it's just not. I don't see the Lakers really taking any chances here with messing up what they have coming here. And I just don't see it. And until I see it, then we'll talk about it. But I'm starting to get a feeling that if Giannis doesn't get to Minnesota by tomorrow, I have full confidence that the Lakers are going to go after Giannis in the summer. I'm talking like full throttle. Remember, guys, Mark Walter isn't just a basketball guy. He is a businessman. And when you have business opportunities outside the game, that's going to play a part in this too. And Mark Walter doesn't just make the teams better. He has an atmosphere that he builds where and Giannis is a big family man, very, very family oriented. And that's what he's built in a city where, with all due respect to, Jeff, I know Jeff he loves LA. He's an LA guy. He lives there. I'm not as positive about the city of LA, but the fact that he's already built a monumental elite program in LA with the Dodgers, and it's family oriented in a place where let's not joke at this point. LA is not the ideal place for families. Let's put it that way. The fact that he's been able to create that there on top of it only goes to show you how amazingly talented he is. Because there's plenty of billionaires out there that can create opportunities, but are they going to have an atmosphere of really good, wholesome, family-oriented kind of atmosphere where people are comfortable and the wives and the kids are happy and the siblings are happy? I mean, it's not just the game. It's not just the money. These guys live like they're like they're on a compound. They're on one big family. It's that's going to play a part in that's definitely going to play a part in terms of the recruitment side of it.
Just wanted to mention before I get it to Caleb that Gershon Yabusele, who was all the rage in the Olympics, has been traded, and actually thought it would be a good addition for New York's rotation. Didn't pan out that way. He was just traded to Chicago. Caleb, we talked about this. I thought they would be really a mover. I didn't know they would be moving all these chess pieces around, but now they got Gershon Yabusele, and they traded away Jalen Terry on that. So again, Chicago's going to win the award for most trades. They're looking to be they're looking to get the blue ribbon for most trades in the 2026 trade season. But with that said, Caleb, not named Giannis Antetokounmpo, what name are you eyeing for the next, 20, not even 20 hours, but, less than 24 hours to go? What interesting name are you eyeing that could make a move that's not named Giannis Antetokounmpo?
I think he's the only star that has any chance left to be. Ja Morant, I guess. I would think would get moved, but I don't know what the spot is or if anyone even really cares anymore. In terms of guys who are going to I think maybe go to winning or go to teams that are winning and impact. I think Ayo Dosunmu, another Chicago guy. I think he'd be awesome in Houston. I think I said that already, but he'd be great there and fits what they want to do. So I think he's maybe the one that is in my head. There's been these constant kind of Sabonis rumbles about him in Toronto that have been around for the last 48 hours that I don't necessarily think anything's going to come of, but we'll see. We'll see if maybe Cleveland does another thing. They've kind of made their tax situation and they cleared money with Lonzo to the point where they could make a small move on the fringes if they wanted to. But there's been so much stuff the last 2 days. I kind of think it's mostly tomorrow will probably be pretty boring just because these 2 days I thought today would be boring. And then Anthony Davis got traded. That's just kind of, we've already really gotten a lot of big name moves at the deadline comparative to what we have in the last 10 or so years. I get recently, last year, obviously Luka and then Jimmy Butler and Fox. So last year I had a couple big names too, but so I don't necessarily think anything else huge is coming, but I would have said that, like I said, I would have said that yesterday. And now we are, Anthony Davis is a wizard of all things, which is just absolutely a sickening sentence to come out of my mouth that I never thought I'd say in my life, but here we are. I don't think I'm expecting anything else real big or important to happen, but we'll see. Anything's possible there. I think what's the deadline? I don't know what time the deadline is tomorrow, but
it is 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Again, I will be on 10:30 a.m. Pacific. And hopefully Joe and you guys or whoever's able to join me will stop on by to go ahead and share the thoughts. If it is an active trade deadline, we'll bring it to you. If there's any Lakers breaking news on a trade, we'll try to get on as early as we can to go ahead and cover that as well. But Legend, before we head on out, a name that has talked about being traded, but hasn't yet been traded. That's not named Giannis Antetokounmpo. Is John Morant, and it's in the Jeremy pointed that out in the chat. They just traded away Triple J. They traded away Desmond Bain. It certainly seems like Memphis is, going to the fish tank store to do some tanking. Is that a guy that you think might be moved before the trade deadline?
I mean, they might find somebody willing to take him. I mean, the only one I really heard had maybe a interest in. I was thinking with Miami. He's been tied to Miami a good little bit. But other than that, that's all I really heard. Really been tied up to him. And like I say, he's okay. He just to me has definitely have digressed a little bit. That athleticism starting to die down really hurt his game. So yeah, he might not be that easy to move like Triple J was, but they'll find somebody willing to take him.
Yeah, I don't think they have any chance of getting anything back. I just think this is going to be we're just ready to be done with this. We want to have Cedric Howard play 40 minutes a game, and we just are ready to go on to our next era. So Sacramento, here you go, whoever it may be. I think it's probably Sacramento or Miami, or I think it's probably one of those two if he gets moved, is what it seems like.
His value is tank.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Sacramento, I'm going to leave the last question for Joe on that. Sacramento has a player that's playing right now in Domantas Sabonis that is, for the first real time since he came back from his injury, is looking like Domantas Sabonis. Right now, he's 24-12. He's attractive out there as far as what he may be able to bring, but his contract is a little pricey for a guy who doesn't give you much on the defensive end of the floor. Your thoughts, could he be moved by Sacramento, which has already made more than one questionable trade already this trade period? And if so, where do you think he might go?
What does this Laker team need, Gerald?
A whole bunch of things, to be quite honest with
you. They need perimeter defense. Sabonis
they need perimeter defense, perimeter shooting. They
can get away with they can get away with they can get away with size up front. They do have Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton. Again, I'm not saying they're gonna light the world on fire there a lot, but they're there. And if you have to use LeBron at the 5 every now and then, depending on matchup situations, not good, especially in the playoffs. But if you have to, that's something you can rely on. But if let's say the Lakers were very interested for some reason, what would likely need to happen there is the Kings would have to make a deal with the Lakers for expiring contracts, which the Lakers do have that plenty. And the Sacramento Kings just want to get out of the contract. And then the Lakers
would have to get some first. We'd have to get some first.
I'm sorry, but if Anthony Davis and Trae Young fetched what? Nothing. First? Yeah, nothing pretty much.
Triple J got three.
This is a salary dump for the Kings. It would make sense. Whether they do it or not, I don't know. But no one's going to pay Sabonis $50 million a year for the next 2 years and change, and give up draft capital. I got to make this very clear with everyone so that they remember this. Draft capital with this new CBA has taken a huge hit. You are going to see less and less teams throw first-round picks around unless it's a elite player or a player that would take a team over enough to where they can go deep into the playoffs, something like that. They're just not going to be spending these first-round picks like they used to. So the Kings want to dump that salary. The Lakers have enough. They have plenty to get him. The only thing is, I would say would happen if Giannis goes to Minnesota by tomorrow. Then they know they're out of the Giannis sweepstakes. Then they're like, screw it. We'll just go get a big now, and let's see if we can compete with why. And then the reason, and he would help in the sense of, it's not the perimeter help that we need, but he would help because you are going to play likely 2 teams in the West that have a large lineup, although Steven Adams just got injured for the year. So
yes,
it might be a little easier for Houston. But you're definitely going to get help now.
They can't throw that double big lineup.
So if they face
a lot of problems.
Yeah, if they get a 4 or 5 seed, let's say the Lakers get a 4 or 5 seed, right? and they end up playing, I don't know, let's say Houston, I think they can get out of that. I think they can get out of the first round, even with the team they have now, with a couple of luck games, right? But if they have Sabonis, I think that's a clear-cut win. Then they're going to face Oklahoma City. And then at that point, you have another beefy guy there to help DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes. And then now, I'm not saying they're going to win that series, but at least they have a chance to at least play with some size with that team. And that's the only way I look at that. I can't imagine in any world that they're going to be paying I was going to say Arvidas. There's no way there's no way I could imagine DeMontis being paid $50 million for the next 2 years. I just can't. I can't see that happening with the Lakers. They got I think they have a plan ready. And their next setup is they got to get the next elite player to play with Luka. And then they start building from there.
So before we head on out, Caleb, I want to make sure that you send over your thoughts as far as what you're doing with your latest article that's on the Swab Report. I wanted to go ahead and you get your plug in. But before you do, can you also comment on Ja Morant? Because he's conveniently out of the lineup. And Ty Jerome has come back and lit the world on fire. He scored 28 tonight for Memphis. I have a feeling he is more untouchable than the previously untouchable Ja Morant. But if you can elaborate on that and then let everybody know what you're doing at the Swab Report before we head on out.
I mean, with Ja, I don't know. Like, I think it's probably Sacramento or Miami. Like, I think it'd be a pretty good desperation heave for Miami. Like, if you can't get your head on straight and work there, then you're just, good luck. Cause that's they do that to everybody there. So I just don't necessarily think it's a non-existent market. If they get rid of him, it's just going to be because of how desperately they don't want him on the team anymore. And I think that's possible. Like, I think the reason I'm sure he didn't play tonight is because they probably love to trade him. It's just going to be, are they going to get anything that even makes it feasible? So we'll see what happens. I could definitely see Sacramento getting in on him, even though it was reported today that he doesn't want to go there. I don't think he's really in a position to say where he doesn't want to go at this point of where his value is. So I think it's Sacramento or Miami and not really anywhere else. But with what I was working on, this is before the Thunder traded for Jared McCain, who kind of fits into what I was thinking they needed to do on a lower scale. And he never even really entered my mind just because he's been kind of injured this year and his value's fallen down a little bit in terms of his perception. But I just thought after OKC lost to Minnesota on Friday that it just was pretty clear that they needed more shooting around SGA to really maximize who they are. And what I proposed in there was they make a big swing for Trey Murphy, not really thinking it would happen, but just saying, here's how it would work. It's feasible with the tax situation. I think that it can happen. So I think that financially it can happen. And it didn't, they went in a more financially, fiscally conservative route, which is not surprising when it's OKC involved. So they in a way did what I wanted them to. I mean, I was comfortable with them, even if it would have been like Simone Fontecchio or Ty Jerome was on there even. So they went out and addressed that need, I think, in a pretty good way and with a young, talented guy with upside. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my most recent thing. We'll see what I do. I was planning on doing just kind of a focus in on Chet Holmgren at around the All-Star break, but seeing with SGA is going to be out, it would not surprise me if OKC was in a bit of a tailspin here headed into that break. And if that's the case, I don't know if that'll be the time for it, but there'll be something on Chet coming before too long. So those are kind of the things I'm working on right now.
Legend, before you head on out, and again, it's Caleb Ponce at the Suave Report. The Suave Report right there. Just type in the Suave Report, and it comes right up for you guys, and his article's right there. The links to it on the front page. I'll put it in the description here after the show's ended. I'll put it in the description for you guys if you guys want an easy reference on that. But Legend, before we head on out, a question for you. And then also what you're doing at I Got Next Sports Media. And that is Steph Curry. Steph Curry sees what's going on. His knee is not the healthiest right now. He's had to sit out games as of late. He's not getting any younger. So looking at that and seeing that the Golden State Warriors might have taken a left turn away from Giannis Antetokounmpo, how do you think he feels right now outside of his knee really hurting? Is his pride hurting as well?
Probably disappointed knowing that, this season definitely a wash. And honestly, he probably realized that, the writing's on the wall. That it's over, even though I think it's been over way before now. But writing's on the wall. I get the feeling Steve Kerr's probably gone at the end of this season. He's probably sitting there disappointed right now. But just gonna have to really sit down and make some decisions for himself. I can't see Steph going anywhere else. I think he's gonna definitely retire as a Golden State Warrior. He's gonna be like Kobe, one team only. I think he should stay as a Golden State, but probably disappointed that ring number 5 is probably not gonna happen. He's gonna probably stick with 4. But it's been a hell of a ride. That's one thing I can at least say for him. It's been a heck of a ride. A dynasty we probably will never see again in a long time. And a dominance from a team we probably won't see for a long time. So it's been a good ride, but it's pretty much over. It's over. I think he probably gets there at this point.
You're like, I almost feel like you're playing taps as you're saying that.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But what are you doing right now on your great channel? I Got Next Sports Media.
I'm definitely gonna probably talk about tomorrow all the trades that have taken place today. I'm gonna probably talk about a lot of the moves that may be good for future wise. Maybe a lot of moves that didn't make a lot of sense, like what Washington Wizards did, and probably talk about the Giannis thing too. Like looking like it's probably going to go out into the summer. I'm probably gonna dive a lot into the Giannis situation and kind of ask the question, Giannis, you gonna make a decision, man. East or West? That's what it's gonna look like. You go to the West, welcome to the bloodbath. It's a bloodbath over there. You stay in the East, not daisies and flowers to get to the finals. Your choice. You got to decide. You want to go through the bloodbath or walk through the flowers to the finals? Up to you.
Joe, you get the last word, my friend. Tomorrow, you and I hopefully will, as Caleb's saying, it doesn't think there's a possibility it might not be active. I'm hoping it will be because, Joe, I think this is our 4th trade deadline together. It's either 3rd or 4th, but we have had active and we've had not so active trade deadlines, and it's hard to fill up airtime when you're doing that, especially for 2.5 hours. Your thoughts heading into a trade deadline, and if it comes out of it on the other side and nothing's done by Rob Pelinka, I know there's going to be a lot of upset people out there, but I don't think you and I will be two of those people.
No, I don't. I think people are still in either denial or cluelessness. I'm going to kind of side on cluelessness because people are stubborn. Rob Pelinka is not in charge anymore, folks. Why do you think LeBron's representatives are making noise outside? Do you think that's because they all of a sudden were working together with the new leadership? The show is over. The clutch has gone from clutching the Lakers' nuts to clutching their own nuts now. There's nothing else left for them to control. And Genie may be there as the mascot for the next 4+ years now. But if you think somebody's going to drop $10 billion on a product or a team or a business and not run it, then you're not very bright. So I know you want the Lakers to compete for a championship this year, and they are going to compete for a championship because you have a league of pansies. You have a league of weak-minded bums who are very talented at basketball, but are weak. So unlike how it was years ago for many years, we don't know who's going to win this year. So they're going into this thing saying, well, a couple injuries here, a couple injuries there. Something might open up. What if Luka goes nuts in the playoffs like he did in 2024 and 2023? What if he does? You can't stop him. You just drop him left and right. Turns into Jordan, whatever, right? So we don't know that. We don't know what's going to happen. We thought the Oklahoma City Thunder were going to win 70 games, which was kind of nice actually. When I was thinking about it, I was like, it's nice to finally have a team that's actually showing greatness after winning a championship, because a lot of teams start getting a little lax when they win, right? And then you're hearing Shea Gilgeous-Alexander talking about, oh, hell yeah, we want this record. To me, that was like a sign of, man, that's a little bit of what I like to hear. Because everybody would always deny it, right? But Shea was like, nah, we want it too. We're playing the games, we might as well win them, right? And they have the depth, they have the draft capital, they have the best GM in the NBA, which that's a hard one to say. You know, it's just what it is because he's the champion now. But him, Brad Stevens, and I mean, at this point are like neck and neck to me. So, but Presti by a hair just because he's the recent champion. But you don't know what's going to happen here. You don't know who's going to be healthy, and you don't know who's going to mentally check out. And you have two players that are playing, and LeBron isn't as taxed this year as he has been the last couple of years. If you don't believe me, you guys are seeing him jumping off that pogo stick much higher than you had the last few years. So if he goes into the playoffs a little fresher than he has the last couple of years, and Luka's doing his thing, who knows what can happen? Not likely, but there's a chance. So the Lakers are likely going to get one buyout player, maybe two, probably just one. Someone that can help. And I'm going to go get CP3 for God's sakes. I don't know why people keep talking about that. They're not bringing Chris Paul in. And then at that point, ride it and then wait for the end of the year to see what develops from there. And I'm going to look for two things between now and tomorrow. One is Giannis moving. The other is Zubac going to Boston. That's the only two that I'm like really, really concerned about right now. Anything else that happens, then doesn't matter. Don't give a shit about. I care about those two moves because if Boston gets Zubac, we got it. That
also means that Caleb is going to be a happy man because OKC, that Clippers pick, start to look good again.
There's a problem. There's a problem. I'm not even worried about that. I'm worried about if Jason Tatum turns into Dominique Wilkins coming back from that ripped Achilles, and this team's already playing well. Boston cannot win another championship. Otherwise, the Lakers, this whole thing gets even worse. It's already bad that they went up one on us again, but to go up two now, we'd be so screwed. So that's my concern.
There was just a report from Jake Fisher that the Pacers are being the most aggressive bidder for Zubac right now, and that the Clippers are still receiving calls on him. Was the verbiage? So,
the J Huff era may be coming to an end. That would be sad. Yeah, I mean, would have been great as far as a guy coming off the bench for the Lakers, but it is what it is. On the extraordinary.
Why would the Pacers get Zubac? They're not.
That's their 1 week. That's their one real weakness when they have Halliburton back and everybody's healthy. Joe, that was their one real weakness once Turner went away in free agency.
So they get him now so that they can get ready for next year. Is that the plan?
Yeah,
pretty much.
All right.
I mean, we're seeing Utah do that. We're seeing Washington do that. Why not Indiana? I don't know what Chicago's doing, but they're doing a lot of something. Maybe some of it's for next year. I don't know. They're just, again, at some point, I think somebody just got addicted to making trades. Hey, keep on making those trades. Maybe an Ayo Dosunmu will land in the Lakers' laps as a result of it. But we will wait and see. But tomorrow we will be on the air at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. God, I hope it won't be a quiet 90 minutes. Joe and I have done that, and it is just it's not fun. So I hope it will be active. I hope there'll be a lot of stuff to talk about. If there's any breaking news with the Lakers, Joe and I will bring it
tomorrow. If we got to venture into other things, I know that Scooble's going to have his arbitration tomorrow, and considering what the Tigers just did in acquiring their new pitcher who's getting paid, what was it, $38 million annually? And the arbitration is they're trying to pay the arguably the best pitcher on the planet $19 million. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting story tomorrow to see how that plays out. Yeah, we have other options. Again, there's a reason why I've split my shows to different sports because we have to plan. I've always tried to plan for in case Draymond Green ends up being a Laker, because you're right, Gerald. You took the words right out of my mouth before I could say it. That would be the sealer for me. I'd stop watching the Lakers this year if Draymond was a Laker. And
I would just post fire Rob. I would just post
it has nothing to do with Rob. And that would be a Rob move if the new leadership wasn't there. That would totally be a move like that, because Clutch would want it, LeBron would want it. There's a fine line in wanting to give the star player what he wants. I always use that same story about Charles Oakley getting traded for Bill Cartwright. Charles Oakley and Michael Jordan were tight. They were boys. And Charles Oakley's a good player. But at the time when you had position heavy players, you had a center, you had a power. Everybody had their designated positions. They needed a center, and that's why they made the trade. And Jordan apparently wasn't very happy with it. So, but in the end, it turned out to be the right call. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. Shaq wanted Karl Malone and Gary Payton, and while it worked for a minute, in the end it didn't. Gary Payton started to veer off. Karl got hurt. Again, you got to be careful giving the star what he wants when it comes to player personnel. It's your job as the general manager / player personnel VP, whatever your name is, where you're handling the roster. You got to make sure you know what the hell you're doing, because the player will get over it no matter what, because they'll start winning, right? And you never heard anything from Michael after that. He never said, "Oh my God, winning trumps everything." So I don't see in any world right now with who's in charge, really in charge of taking any chances right now. By tomorrow, they are well aware that they're going to go into the offseason ready to pounce, because I think about $100 million is going to come off the books, and they're the only team right now, as of right now, that are competing for title, playoff runs, that has cap room this summer at this moment. So that's an advantage in today's CBA, NBA.
So with that, it is, of course, NBA observations right here on the Lakers Fast Break. Big thank you to Joe Soro. Big thank you to Caleb Ponce from the Swab Report. Big thank you to Legend for I Got Next Sports Media for stopping by. And also big thank you to you out there for watching and listening. Truly appreciated. Again, we'll be on tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. Unless something happens, something breaking, we'll come by with breaking news for you on that. But outside of that, we'll have our NBA trade deadline special. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. Sometimes if I just bring Laker Tom to go ahead and almost seemingly have an aneurysm on the air. So it's absolutely fantastic time. Could be 10:30 a.m. Pacific right here on the Lakers Fast Break. And also as well, I'm going to make my Lakers latest. You'll have that in the morning as well. My thoughts on possible trade prospects, whether I like it or not. I'll go ahead and talk about that on the Lakers latest channel as well. So again, for Caleb Ponce, Legend, and Joe Soro, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. We'll be back tomorrow for more trade deadline madness. Is more madness to come? We'll find out, because the hours and the minutes are ticking down. What will happen before the trade deadline? You'll find out when we find out, right here with some NBA observations.